Hello everybody, what's up, what's going on? By the way, I'm MMA and today we are choosing a language to learn. Well, I'm not. You are. Whether you knew that or not, that's what's happening right now. Now, if you're here watching this video, you're either wanting to start learning an Asian language or you just really love watching me talk. And if that's you, I see you and I love you. And even if you're not going to learn a new language, at least you'll learn a few facts for a party trick or something. I don't really know. In this video, I'm going to be covering the three main languages of East Asia, those being Korean, Japanese, and Mandarin Chinese. I'm not going to be including every single Asian language in existence, literally ever, because that would just take forever and we would be sat here for years. Okay, there's just way too much diversity, so I'm just going to use those main three. I'm also not going to be including Cantonese because if you speak Cantonese, then you'll probably either know Mandarin or English, and it's just less widely known or spoken or used. In terms of Chinese, I'm going to be covering Mandarin only. So without further ado, I'm going to go through 6 points. Yep, 6, it's a really dumb number, but it is what it is. Which will help you decide which language you want to learn. Now, firstly, I'm going to make a very obvious point, and I'm going to say that if you're passionate about a particular language, then learn that one. I cannot stress this enough. If you already have the passion and the drive and the love of a language and want to learn that one, then just learn it. Don't be coming here thinking that I'm going to tell you, oh, don't bother, just do an easier one, because it's going to be easier for you to learn a language that you love than learn a language that you think is going to be easy. And if you're not learning a language just because you love it, you need to think of the other factors which are going to influence the decision that you make as to which language you're going to learn. The second thing you need to consider is, do you know any other languages already? If you already speak a second or third language, it's just going to make it a whole lot easier to learn yet another one because you already know how to learn languages, if that makes any sense. So it might be worth challenging yourself and doing a bit more of a difficult one, which you wouldn't go for in the beginning. I mean, all three of them are really difficult languages, so I don't know why I'm saying that. But maybe you're put off by one thinking, oh, that's too difficult. If you already speak another language, challenge yourself, just go for it. Or if you already know or speak a language with another alphabet, for example Russian, then maybe challenge yourself and push yourself to learn something like Japanese, which has 2 alphabets and a character system, or Mandarin Chinese, which goes on a character system as well. The third thing you need to consider is, do you already know any of these Asian languages? If you know Mandarin, there are some borrowed words which are used in Korean, such as days of the week and some numbers for one of their counting systems. Now, that might make Korean a better choice for you to learn if you already speak Mandarin. If you already speak Korean, there is similar grammar at the beginner level. I found when I started studying a little bit of Japanese, that is. So starting to study Japanese would make it a little bit easier because you already have the background knowledge of the basic grammar that you get from Korean, which can easily be transferred to the knowledge that you get when you start learning Japanese. Does that make any sense? You know, you say something and it just comes out of your mouth without you registering it first? Yeah, that just happened. Sorry, anyways, if you speak Japanese, then you will be comfortable with the writing systems already, right? And being familiar with learning a character system might make it easier for you to learn Mandarin because they use a character system. If you know Japanese and you want to push yourself, Korean has arguably a bit more difficult grammar, and so you might want to push yourself on that aspect and learn Korean instead, or as well as. Duh. The fourth thing that you need to consider is your exposure. Now, do you listen to J-pop? Do you watch anime? Do you listen to any K-pop? Do you watch Korean dramas? Do you watch any Mandarin dramas? Things like that all need to be taken into consideration because your exposure to the language is going to make it much easier to learn. Now, if you don't already have that exposure, that's quite good in a way because it enables you to adapt your exposure and start watching more of these dramas and listening to this music in order to get the exposure for the language that you want to learn. That can also help with choosing a language. For example, if you were to sit down and watch a movie from each of these 3 countries for each of these 3 languages that you might be considering, and then whichever language sounds best, whichever one you like hearing, even just which movie you enjoy the most, then just start learning that one. Now, the 5th thing you want to consider is the purpose for learning this language. We're going to relate this back to point number 4 and say, is it for enjoyment? If it's for watching anime or K-dramas a lot easier, then you're already probably going to to know which language you want to learn. If you want to learn a language for business purposes, English and Mandarin are the most widely spoken in terms of business and that kind of thing. But all of them are really good choices and will give you lots of different opportunities in the future if you choose to learn those for business purposes anyway. So while I would recommend learning Mandarin if you have a particular business in mind or a particular business venture in which you need to be a bit more specific about the language that you speak or that you need to know for it, then learn the one that's going to benefit you most. If it's for travel, I'm just going to say learn the basics of the language spoken in the country that you'll be traveling to. You don't need to be fluent. Although if you're going to be like touring Asia or going backpacking or something, then just do some research on how widely English is spoken in each of the countries that you're going to be visiting. Doing this is going to help you prepare more for countries where you might need to use the language, and it's going to prevent you from over preparing for countries where they just speak to you in English anyway. So for in Seoul, I would say it's easy to get by with little to no Korean, whereas in Japan, I think you need to know at least some of the basics if you're going to go there. I've never been to China, so I can't really speak from experience on that matter. I'm sorry. But taking those two as an example, if you're going to visit both Korea and Japan at one time, I would say learn them both. Yes, a little bit of both would go a long way, but focus more on Japan and learning Japanese if you can, because that will just be a little bit more beneficial to you when you're actually there. Or if your purpose is literally just to learn a language, I would try and explore them a little bit first. You want to be thinking about which language sounds nicer, like when you're listening to it, or even when you're just speaking it. For example, I know that lots of people think that German sounds angry. I personally love the way that German sounds. A lot of people think that French sounds really romantic and beautiful. I absolutely hate the way that French sounds. So that would be down to your personal preference. Not only that, but which entertainment you prefer. If you prefer K-dramas or Korean movies to, say, anime and J-pop. Or if you prefer Chinese dramas to Korean movies. Something like that. I would also say dabble in the writing systems of each of them if you're still not set on which language you want to learn, just to find out which one you can pick up easier, which one you feel like you're making more progress in quickly. Because if you start learning a language and you feel like you're not making much progress, then you're going to become very discouraged very quickly. And the sixth point that I want to make is, what opportunities do you have to practice the language, if any? So you want to think about, where do you live? The community around you, if you have any friends who are native speakers of a language, or if you're involved in any online communities. For example, if you have any other anime friends from groups or, you know, cosplay or whatever, who already speak a bit of Japanese and you want to learn with them. If you have any K-pop friends, or if you're into esports and want to practice learning Korean with other non-natives and native speakers, just things like that. Thank you very much for watching. I hope that some of this was even remotely helpful and I hope that you enjoyed it. If you did, please give me a little like. If you have learned or are learning a language right now, please let me know which one you're learning and how that's going. If you've tried more than one of these, let me know which one you found easier, because personally I find Korean to be the easiest, but that's just me. And subscribe to my channel for more content about Asia, primarily Korea, but you know, Asia, whatever. Go check out my videos about Japan and Korea, which are going to be linked down below. By the way, I've been Emily May, and I hope you all have a studious and intellectual day. See you all later. Bye bye.